Stan Lee, one of, if not the most influential person to work in the comic book industry, is being exploited. At least maybe in some ways. In other ways, 100%. And I wanted to come on here today and just talk to you about some of the people closest to Stan Lee after he died and what they did while he was still alive in his later years as well. Now, I wanted to talk about this because I'm a huge fan of Stan Lee and Marvel. I'm a huge Marvel nerd. I love the comics, I love the films, I love the shows, I love the games, I love the merchandise, I love the characters. I am a huge Marvel nerd, and I'm not afraid to say it. And I've always said, if it wasn't for Stan Lee working with them, Marvel would not be the company that it is today. He's made my favourite fictional character ever, Spider-Man. I even wrote an essay about this guy in uni last year. And I just wanted to come in here because I am so pissed off of people allegedly exploiting him and 100% exploiting him when he was alive and now that he's dead. So why am I talking about this now? Well, the other day, a guy called John Burleyjack, who was apparently a close friend of Stan Lee when he was alive, announced a Kickstarter where he wants some funding to create a documentary called Stan Lee The Final Chapter, where apparently he's going to expose the elder abuse that he suffered with for the last few years of his life.
My name is John Burleyjack, and for the last 4 years of Stan Lee's life, I was his assistant, his confidant, but most importantly, his friend.
Stan spent his final years enduring mistreatment, manipulation, and betrayal at the hands of a few very bad actors. At the time, I didn't have the power to stop it, but I did have a camera and I filmed everything.
Whoa, watch out!
Now I'm asking for your help to finish the film and finally get justice for Stan.
This documentary includes first-hand accounts from key witnesses, including comic book legends like Rob Liefeld and Roy Thomas.
With your help, we can finish the film, expose the truth, and give Stan the justice he deserves.
Now, on paper, I do think this documentary is a really good idea. I'm glad that these issues are being brought to light to show people that this man suffered through the last years of his life through these absolute money-grabbing idiots. And one thing I will say is that before I heard about this documentary, I had no idea about this whole situation with Stan Lee. I'm surprised that I didn't know about it because in 2019, a lawsuit was filed against his business manager for fraud and other forms of elder abuse. How I did not hear about this before, I have no idea. So the documentary's already done something right. It's made me aware of this issue. But despite me thinking that this documentary is a pretty good idea, there are things about it and the announcement that really just seems so off for me. And I'm going to get into some details while I just think this whole documentary is just a little bit shady. Now, before I get into the documentary, I do want to talk about another way that these people have exploited Stan Lee after his death. So, a few years ago, the person who ran Stan Lee's official Twitter account decided to promote Stan Lee NFTs. They said in the tweet, and I quote, "From championing diversity to embracing new tech, Stan was one step ahead of the curve, and to honour his innovative spirit, Stan's first Indian hero, Chakra the Invincible, debuts in his own NFT. Yeah, NFTs, you know them things that are now dead in the water, that people still think are valuable for some reason, even though they're blatant scams? I really don't know why people buy them. And this guy who runs this account had the balls to say, oh, celebrate his legacy and all that bullshit. When in reality it's like, give me money and nothing else. Buy crap. Like, it's just so scummy. Now, I will go back to the NFTs later on because they do relate to something with the documentary Kickstarter. But now I'm going to talk about some things that just seem really fishy about this documentary. The first thing that seems really off is the goal for the Kickstarter. The price goal is $232,000. And according to Jonathan, this is what that money will go towards. Paying the crew, feeding them, equipment rental, soundstage space, set construction, casting, wardrobe, hair, makeup, editing, music, visual effects, colour correction, sound design, song clearances, content clearances, legal fees. Now, of course, there are a few things which obviously are good. Paying the crew, being able to feed them, of course that's good. But there's just a few things in that list which just seem really off and don't really make any sense. Like set construction. Like, what does that mean? Like you're going to build Stan Lee's mansion or something? I don't visual effects. Like what we're doing here, we're going to get like a CGI Stan Lee model or something. And as a whole, if we're just excluding that whole list, $300,000 for a documentary where you've already recorded a lot of the footage that you need. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I don't work in banks. I'm not a financial advisor or anything. Maybe I could be wrong, and if I am, do let me know in the comments. But I don't think this documentary needs to be worth $300,000. Now, the second thing that just seems really off is the rewards that you get for donating to the Kickstarter. Now, this sort of thing is nothing new. It's pretty much in every big Kickstarter. But the rewards for this just seem a bit off and a bit familiar. For example, when you donate $50, you get a stunning photo comic capturing rare, candid moments of Stan Lee like you've never seen him before. Shot by filmmaker Jonathan Bolajak, this collection offers an intimate look at the legend's life beyond the spotlight. Featuring 11 different covers, each showcasing a hand-picked image curated by its prospective sponsor. Every book comes signed by Bolajak, making it a must-have for true fans of Stan and his legacy. A product for Stan and true fans of his legacy. Where have I heard that before? Oh, now I'm not saying that Jonathan made those NFTs and sold them. Not saying he was the mastermind pulling the strings behind that. But it just seems a little weird that he's using that same tactic to get more people to donate to his documentary. The next thing I want to get into is away from the Kickstarter now. It's Jonathan Bolajak himself. Now, he said that he recorded footage about the abuse that Stan Lee suffered while he was alive. Bearing in mind, Stan Lee died in 2018. That's nearly 7 years ago now. Wow. Nearly 7 years ago now, okay? He's been holding on to that footage for nearly a full decade. Why is he only releasing this now? You know when it would have made sense to release that footage? When that whole lawsuit was going on. Why didn't you release the footage then? Why? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. If you really do care about Stan Lee and helping bringing these people to justice, it'd make perfect sense to release that footage when that lawsuit was going on. But he didn't do that. But after a bit of research, I did find this video of Jonathan Bolajak with Stan Lee saying a pretty mean joke to the man.
Now, are you ready to give a riveting speech? You're gonna change lives.
I thought I was finished with that. What do I have to do now?
It's never over.
You what?
I said I thought I was finished, but apparently I'm not.
No.
You get your money's worth out of me.
Every single penny.
Penny, like 5 pennies.
What a mean joke. I mean, you can even see Stan Lee's face drop when he says it. I mean, it's just so upsetting. Now, maybe Jonathan meant that as a light joke, just to make him laugh a bit. And then it just turned out he was just being very mean. We've all done it. We've all said things that we thought might have been funny, but they just fall completely flat. It's very common. But let's just put this into perspective. Let's say that he did this a lot while he was on camera, recording footage of this abuse. Why would he want to release footage of him continuing to make awful jokes like that to Stan? Why would he want to release that footage with that in it? To hell with the lawsuit. Now, I'm not saying that he did participate in the elder abuse. As I said, he might have just said it as a joke and it fell completely flat. We've all done it. But let's just say that he kept doing that to him. It's not really going to look good on him if he releases that footage. Of course, though, when you're directing a documentary, you can easily just edit out that part of the footage or just leave those bits of footage out of the documentary. What I'm trying to say here is that I don't 100% think that this documentary is a bad idea. I don't. I think it can be a good thing, exposing the people who just exploited Stan Lee and were abusing him all the time just to make some money. But when I'm seeing that massive price goal, which, let's be honest, does not need to be that high, the prizes which have descriptions as the same wording as those NFTs that they were trying to sell a few years ago, the timing of this documentary, and the fact that the director is releasing this footage now and not when a massive lawsuit was going on a few years ago, and that video that I just showed you of him being a bit mean, even though I do think that he just meant it as a light joke. But who knows, maybe I'm wrong about that. But maybe I'm blowing all of this out of proportion. Maybe Jonathan really wants to be a good guy and expose these leeches just trying to cash in on this dead guy's legacy. Maybe he's a good guy who wants to stand by his friend and do the right thing. And if that is the case, more power to him. I wish him the best of luck and hope this documentary really goes well. And if that is the case, I apologise for suspecting that you're holding that footage back because you don't want to look like a bad person as well. That wasn't my intention to accuse you. I just really wanted to make a point that it just didn't all make sense. Will I watch this documentary when it releases? Most likely yes. In fact, I might even make a video reviewing it. Because I really do like Stan Lee's work. And I'm really interested to see what he went through in the latter years of his life. All of the abuse, all of the scum that he had to be around. It is just so sad, man. And hopefully this documentary really does expose these leeches for who they are. And I'm sorry that this video was very serious. I don't really like making serious videos. I like making reviews of films and stuff like that. And silly videos. But I just felt like I had to make this video. Because I love Stan Lee's work. And there's just a few things about this documentary and this filmmaker that just don't add up to me. And I'm just sick and tired of this amazing guy being exploited even after he's died. But yeah, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you have any thoughts on this documentary and this Kickstarter, do let me know your thoughts down below. Have a good day, guys, and see you later.